This is my bill, and it's a very good bill. It's a bill that'll make you happy. And if you recall the past 4 years, if you looked around the country, the turmoil a lot of our cities and towns were in because of defunding the police. You look at Portland, Oregon, you look at Seattle, look at Chicago, New York. Every town, every big city that defunded the police was a mess. They had crime that was rampant, buildings that are burning, and because the lack of resources for law enforcement, and also at the same time, law enforcement officers were either retiring or moving to other cities that were safer and that they had support of their administration. For instance, Portland, Oregon, they had a $45,000 sign-on bonus for officers because they couldn't even get officers. Seattle had a $30,000 sign-on bonus. And we're seeing around the country that a lot of these officers don't want to return to those cities because of what transpired there. We have a shortage here in Phoenix, and we're talking about defunding. There's a lot of activists out there who still want us to defund the police. And if we defund the police and we don't get the police that we need, we're not going to have the security in our communities around the state any longer. For those reasons, I decided to draft this bill.
My name is Joe Clore. I'm the Executive Director of the Arizona Police Association. We're here in support of the bill. We believe it's, as the Chairman said, a very good bill. It's really kind of basic for us in terms of our support for this. As you all know, the history, we did witness agencies around the country actually eliminate police budgets, speaking specifically in Minnesota, Indianapolis, where they totally did away with the police budget. They found out real quickly that that was a really bad idea, and they had to play catch up and reestablish. Not to mention the fact that when these budgets are cut and officers don't feel supported, it does make it very difficult to retain officers and even attract new officers with significant sign-on bonuses. And that's why we're here to support this bill.
Can you please explain the last time the budget was greatly affected in cuts?
I'm sorry, the last time what?
Budget cuts were made?
2008 recession, primarily because of the economic downturn, and they cut everybody's budget equally. I believe it was 3% at that time.
It's stated in the bill that if the town would have a shortfall, a budget shortfall like they did in 2008, that if there was a budget cut, it must be equal across all departments. And the only thing I stipulated was that the police department be the last department cut. How would that change anything from 2008?
Chair, I don't believe it would change anything. It was a significant financial crisis that was going on, and they decided to cut the budgets equally. Of course, the police department budget, by nature of what we do and the primary governmental function that we're required to fulfill, our budgets are typically larger than other budgets in a city and municipality. So we took a larger hit dollar-wise, but the percentage cuts were the same.
I think that we should be more proactive than reactive, because right now we're trying to watch departments even try to hire officers, and nobody wants to go to these towns because of what transpired there. The intent of this bill was to be proactive so that this would never happen in the state of Arizona, Phoenix, Tucson, any of our larger cities that are suffering with the shortage of manpower right now.
I vote nay.
I'm a no today. I think one of my biggest concerns is, our local governments don't have the same flexibility that we might have here at the legislature in terms of our budgets, and I think it's really important that we're not taking that local control away from them. So with that, I'm a no today.
Aye.
Nay.
The government only has one role really in this, and that's to protect the public. Everything else potentially should be in another part of the budget, not in the law enforcement budget, and I think that captures the intent of the bill. Therefore, I vote aye.
Well, you're correct, Mr. Chair. This is a bill that makes me happy. This bill literally does what it says on the tin. It prohibits defunding of the police, and that is a concept I very much stand for. So with that, I proudly vote aye and against defunding the police.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
It takes away local control and county governments. So with that, I would actually, before I say that, I have one more thing, because something was brought up about being proactive. And my 2 cents is I wish we could be this proactive for our education and our teachers here in the state of Arizona. I vote no.
Aye.
No.
I do have a concern about the structure of this bill being an encroachment onto local control, which I do think is warranted if there's an active ongoing crisis. And while I do think we have significant shortages of sworn officers, we have not seen actual reductions in funding or efforts to completely defund. So for that reason, I vote no.
I vote aye. enthusiastically, I am in favor of always supporting our law enforcement.
Aye. 8 ayes, 7 nays. You have given House Bill 2221 a due pass recommendation.